Why is it their sport? You don't say when you go in the morning, I'm going to play BWF.
3x15. What is your immediate reaction?
That's the frustrating part.
Would you be open to a shot clock?
I think it would be an amazing idea.
But the number that I've heard of is 20,000 per court per week per tournament. So you're a contracted player, right? What does that mean? Okay.
But if you step on court and play a few rallies, you will get the prize money. Say maybe 6, 7, 8K USD maximum per year for the Danish players from the federation.
Each? For everything? So including...
For everything. For an entire year, that's what you get of support.
That's it? Hi everybody, welcome to the Average Not Average podcast. I'm CK.
I'm Viktor.
And today we are going to be talking about tournaments, including BWF tournaments, the tournament structure, and also some up-and-coming private tournaments such as UBX, Badminton XL, and also the King's Cup. So Victor, we're going to be talking about tournaments. You've played quite a few tournaments. First off, do you know how many tournaments you've played throughout your career so far?
A lot. I don't know how many actually, but we can calculate, not right now, but afterwards. I think maybe an average around 15 to 18 at least per year, right? Over my entire career. The tournament structure has changed a lot during my career. There was quite a few less tournaments when I first started out on the Super Series tour, it was back then.
Yes.
And now on the HSBC World Tour, there is quite a bit of tournaments. And also, as we're going to talk about today, the new upcoming tournaments, which is also exciting for the sport.
Commercial tournaments.
Yes, commercial tournaments. Yeah, it's exciting. Exciting time for the sport, and also very busy for the athletes as well. But we're gonna talk about that, I guess.
Absolutely, yes. So I want to start obviously with BWF tournaments because obviously the World Federation, they sanction every single tournament that's actually officially on the list. They contribute to world ranking.
Yes.
Team events we'll talk about because obviously whilst we're recording this, it's actually the European Championships. European Team Championships going on, Pan American Team Championships, Asian Team Championships, I guess the Americans, Oceania's Championships are all on at the same time.
Yes.
So how come you're not playing?
I'm not playing because I made an agreement with the national coach now for Denmark, Thomas Stavngård, that I had to be reserve. And for me personally, I needed some time to get, really my body in a good place in order to, to hopefully have a good year. Physically, I've had a few injuries over the last few months, so I needed a training block and I needed some time to really get my body into the right place. So I've been standby, but luckily the team has done an amazing job. And right now, as we speak, playing the final against France, and it looks good. So that's why I don't play. Okay,
so we'll be covering training, obviously with coaching relationships and stuff like that, even more in depth in the third episode, actually, the subsequent episode. But obviously today we're going to be focusing on tournaments. So let's start with the team events. Obviously we're covering that at the moment. Do you enjoy playing team events? Do you feel additional pressure? How do you feel?
I do enjoy it a lot. I've been playing almost every edition of the different team tournaments over the many years of my career. It's always, it's an individual sport being a badminton player. So actually to be together with the team is something which is, we all enjoy a lot. There is an added pressure in regards to you have your team rooting for you. You don't want to disappoint the team. Absolutely. You're playing for your country, which I take great pride in as well. So there is quite a bit of pressure, but it's something I've always enjoyed, and I've had many, especially in the Thomas Cup, many exciting matches, and I'm very happy that I've done so well, especially in the Thomas Cup tournaments. So it's definitely a special tournament to play as a player.
Do you have a highlight match or tournament in your mind over the years? Like which one is...
In regards to the team?
Yeah,
it's definitely the Thomas Cup in 2016 when we won for the first time ever in Kunshan in China. Big emotions going on through the entire team, and still to this day, especially here in Denmark, people, they don't really realize how big of an achievement that was. We even had the unfortunate situation with Carsten back then with the aneurysm, and he wasn't able to play, and still we went on to win the gold. Great achievement, and winning the final there is, in terms of team competitions, the most special one for me, for sure.
So I remember Hans playing the third singles, and that was a crucial one, right?
Yeah.
So he's now a national singles coach.
Yes.
How is your relationship with Hans, obviously?
A great relationship. We have been, colleagues for many years. Actually, the first time, or during the first times, I came to Copenhagen to do like the trial practices at the National Center.
Okay.
I stayed at Hans' apartment back then.
Nice.
For a few times, so we've known each other for many years. Also played against each other several times, and it's great to see Hans now being in that position. I'm sure he will be a great national coach or great coach for the men's singles department as he is. And I'm excited for him and wish him the best.
Okay. We're obviously sidetracking here a little bit, but I still want to talk about Hans a little bit. So obviously his relationship from being a player, now transitioning to being a coach. And obviously we heard from his podcast with Anas, that because of the change in status and change in role, that impacts selection choices, selection ability. Does that impact you? How does that impact you? What do you think?
Actually, I haven't really thought that much about it. To be honest, I'm in a place in my career where, when it comes to selection of the different tournaments and stuff like that, it's not something I use a lot of energy on. I'm outside the federation as well. So, if they believe that I have a, place in the team, they will probably select me. And that's how I look at it. I really don't think too much about that. No stress at all. So, that's how I see it. And hopefully I'll still be able to, perform for the country many years to come.
Is there any stress? So Anna's number one, first singles, you second singles, or you first singles?
Actually, again, I really don't, of course it's a big privilege being the first men's singles, but for me, when I go on court, no matter if it's third, if there was a fourth singles, first singles, I go in there to win for the country, win for the team. And I've been, again, very successful in doing that over the years, especially in Thomas Cup, in the different Thomas Cups. And that's what I'm going to, continue to do if I'm selected.
Yeah. Will Denmark win another Thomas Cup, maybe even Uber Cup?
I think we've talked about it for a few times where we actually had a team which could go and win. I still think we have a very strong team now, and we definitely have the chance. But the fact is that to win Thomas Cup, everything has to come together. Everybody has to perform on the right days, and on days where some people they don't perform, the other guys have to take over, and that's what happened when we won in China back in 16. That can happen again, but it will be very, very hard.
So obviously the mixed team championships is on now. That's for Sudirman Cup. What do you think are the chances? Give us a prediction. Where will Denmark end up? Obviously, will you be playing? I mean, I guess selection will come, but
yeah, I hope I'll be a part of the team. Anders has been doing very well, and there's only one men's singles in the Sudirman Cup setup. So we'll probably see who's the best fit for the different opponents and stuff like that. But looking very rational on the on the matches during Sudirman Cup in the men's department, we're pretty strong. Ranking wise as well. And if you look at the women's doubles and the women's singles and the mixed doubles as well, there is probably more matches where we might be a little bit of more underdogs, just being totally realistic. But that doesn't mean we can't produce a great result. I know everybody will do their best, but prediction-wise, it really depends on the draws and stuff like that. But a medal would be great.
A medal would be great. Okay, perfect. So last four.
Yeah,
top four. That'd be goal. Okay. So moving on to individual tournaments.
Yes.
We'll start with some basic ones. Any favorite tournaments on the calendar for you?
I love All England, obviously. It's our Wimbledon, if you can say so. The atmosphere there in Birmingham, amazing. I love playing in many different Asian countries as well. Indonesia Open, I've been very successful there, and I always enjoy playing in Istora especially. And then Malaysia Open also for me. I think that's the places where the atmosphere is amazing. And then I've had, very good experiences playing in China as well. I speak Mandarin, and to be able to communicate with the Chinese fan base, we missed that a lot. I missed that personally a lot during the, COVID-19 period where we couldn't really travel much. So now to finally be back in China is something I value a lot as well.
Do you have any juicy controversies that you can tell us from over the years?
From playing tournaments?
Yeah.
I've had my, arguments with the different empires and stuff over the years. I would say the biggest one in my recent memory is actually from All England last year, where, Ginting, or it was me, I can't even remember. There was a kill on the net, which I definitely think was a wrong call. Also looking at the pictures afterwards, I think that I was right to at least argue a little bit about that, where Ginting, he made the kill. But again, the umpire's human as well, and I wish that we had challenge when it comes to especially net kills and on the net. It would be, from my point of view, it would be relatively simple thing to incorporate without the huge cost. So I think we definitely could find money for that as well, also to make the umpire's life a bit easier.
So okay, we're gonna get into a few juicy things here. Okay, first of all, did you realize that umpires, I'd say almost every single one of them are like volunteers, so they have to take time out of their schedules.
Totally realized that, and I think it's one of those things which I always, when I talk with people and also talk with the umpires, they should get paid first of all way more than they're doing now. They should, the accommodation and everything should just be at a higher level. Again, if you look at tennis and stuff like that, I know. We can't just put us up
generalize it,
like that. But I think definitely there should be invested more in that as well, because it's very important.
Do you know how long it takes to get to BWF level certified umpire?
No.
Minimum of 10 to 12 years.
Crazy.
So it's a huge, long process, and then a lot of them, like every year, they have to make sure that they actually umpire a certain minimum number of matches just to keep their current license to even be upgraded.
Yeah, and then again, they have to also put it into their, because they need to have like regular jobs. So they need to put it into their schedule and everything. It's definitely a place where we have many good Danish umpires as well. So when you communicate with them about it and stuff like that, because it's a big passion for them as well. So there should definitely be better pay and overall just more money to really support them as well.
And then so, because umpires and service judges, they enforce the rules. So as players, so for example, previously when you were in the federation, does the federation invite all the umpires or some of the high-level umpires to come in and actually explain the rules to you guys? Because certainly, obviously on tour, sometimes we see flick serve gets a call, and then does that, all the players or a lot of players look lost or they don't understand what's going on?
We do have, for example, in the lead up to big tournaments, we have where the Danish umpires they come in during the preparation and we play matches, and it's like as close to a tournament setup as we can. No line judges though, but we still have umpires there and stuff. Service judges as well. I think what's the biggest frustration as a player is that there can be a lot of inconsistency when it comes to the
variations with the calls.
Yes, variation with the calls. Sometimes we hear on the managers' meeting that there's a lot of focus on not wasting time in between the rallies, which I think is good. But then I can play one match where there's an umpire who really is trying to to follow that as well, and it end up becoming a little. They overdo it a little bit, maybe sometimes, and then you play other matches where they don't at all follow that. So for an athlete, sometimes it's a little bit, that's the frustrating part.
Would you be open to a shot clock?
I think it would be an amazing idea. I hope it will come sooner.
How long do you think it's needed? 20 seconds?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, because again, we'll talk about that in this episode, but in the Badminton XL, it was like time. We played on time, So every set was a certain amount of time. For example, if you're laying down there, sweat on the floor and stuff like that, somebody has to stop the shuttle clock, right? And you have to, because otherwise you will there will be something there where you need to find like sort of a way to do it. Nevertheless, I think it would be a great idea. How much time and stuff like that, you probably had to look at what's the average time between the rallies, and how can we do it so there's some kind of flow. But if you look at the active playing, playing minutes during a 1 hour and 30 minutes match, sometimes it's way too low, and people are wasting too much time. So there needs to be some kind of rule there, and a shuttle clock would be a great idea, I think. What do you think? As a fan, and
I would love the shuttlecock, the timer in between rallies. I think 20 to 30 seconds probably would be good. I don't know.
30 seconds is a long time.
Yeah, but then sometimes like if you get into the third set, 18 all.
Yeah.
I guess you might want to.
Yeah. But again, I think 30 seconds would be too long.
Yeah, so I think it needs to be more like an experiment to see where we get to. But then at the same time, like you said, enforcement. Like they say, if there's sweat on the floor, like someone needs to come in and mop. The shot clock needs to be stopped. I think something like that. But a shot clock would kind of standardize it. Like there's no guesswork anymore.
Exactly.
And then there's no hard, heavy-handed application or enforcement. It's just transparent. The clock is behind. You do whatever you want to do, but serve before the clock.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly.
Okay. And then, okay, so we go back a little bit. I want to talk about Hawkeye. So tournaments, right? Tournament setups. Do you know how much it costs per court per week of the tournament at World Tour level?
No, I don't know, but you know probably.
I cannot confirm this. So obviously, anyone who's watching this, if they know, please let us know. But the number that I've heard of is 20,000. Is it dollars or euros per court per week per tournament? So say if you have 1,000 Super 1,000,
Yes,
all 4 courts have a Hawkeye. That's 80K, straight up.
yes, but that's a good investment.
Because
At badminton, we have a lot of money in the sport, so it's a good investment.
Yep.
You know, for the fans, for everybody, just for the quality of the event itself. Again, for me personally, you know, all those things, we need to invest in the sport to get on a certain level. Both, you know, now with the, you know, everything you can do from a, Hawkeye. Make the spectators, you know, data. We don't use data quite a bit.
Yes, we
don't use it a lot. If you look at for example, there's just been Super Bowl. You can see how many yards the different teams and the different players have. You know, all those kind of things, those data points. You know,
all the graphics superimposed into the video feed, right?
Yeah. I remember playing the Indian League back 2017 or something like that. The Indian Badminton League back then, the PBL, right? They had some kind of data, you know, or analytics
inside the feed.
Yeah. Okay. And that's a lot of years ago.
Okay, but I think you are correct. For me as a fan, I would really love to see more data feeds, data coming out from the measurements. So for example, Hawkeye, they have so many cameras all around the court and above and around the arena, just to track. Something just fell from someone outside.
We're okay. No mistake.
We're okay.
We're safe.
But I think to be able to use that data, not necessarily in real time, but close to real time, just to show us a little bit more. Is I've always wondered as a fan, like say rally go in, big smash goes, and then obviously they show the speed after the rally or in between the rally, but we don't know which shot was it. If there was like 3 smashes,
exactly.
Which one was that?
Totally.
If we're able to show bam, 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 this much, this angle, you know, PBL had the smash height, right?
But even where on the court do the players hit most of their shots and stuff like that? For example, in tennis, you see where on the court, you know, all those kind of things. I think it would be great for the engagement of the fans and stuff like that. I think
it used to be available, so that data, the ones where they show where the winning points are, but I've not seen them in the current system for a little while now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but again, there would be some things which would be great to have in the tournaments. And back to the Hawkeye, I think it's, you know, on all courts at the Super Thousands, and I'm also, you know, a bit, you know, when I'm sitting here, the 750s as well, we should have it on all courts.
Okay.
Like that's my view.
Okay. And then obviously you have the 500 and 300, that's part of the World Tour. And then you have the 100 as the tour. And then before you go down to IC, International Challenge, IS Series, and then FS.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of tournaments. Okay, let's talk about how many tournaments do you need to play. So you're a contracted player, right? What does that mean?
That means you're part of the group where there are certain regulations in regards to the tour, where your tournaments you have to take part in, and if you can't, you know, if you're injured or you can't play, then you have to travel out and be, you know.
Wait, so if you're injured, you still have to be at the event to be certified at the tournament top?
If you're on the top committed players list.
Which is top 20, top 15?
I think it's around top 15, top 10, top 15 or something. Probably top 15, but we can, you know, you can check that online.
We will check that.
Yeah. I just know that I've been a part of that for many years now. Then for the 750s, for the 1000s, you have to go. If you're injured, you can send, you know, a medical documentation in saying that, you know, you can't fly or you're injured, you can't come. But in my entire career, I've never had a medical documentation which were good enough in order to avoid the fine. Really, I've been so sick. I was so sick at Malaysia Open last year, throwing up. The medical doctor wrote a documentation where he said you should go back and get, you know, a medical checkup. That's what he advised. Still fine. So yeah, I'm not really sure.
How many times have you been fined so far?
Many times. Many times. Probably a solid handful. doing over the last
How
year.
much is the fine? 5K?
Yeah, 5K.
Dollars
Yeah, $5K. I'm
per
pretty sure.
tournament?
Yes.
Or is it per day? No, per
Per
tournament.
tournament, yes.
Okay.
And again, what I have been arguing quite a bit with BWF about that is that they don't pay, one night at the hotel. They don't pay your flight ticket. So basically you have to pay out of your own pocket. And that's not great, I think, because some players are doing great financially, but for other players, I know that the federation maybe pays sometimes for some of them. But again, to pay out of your own pocket if you can't play, to go out and do the media and stuff like that, I don't think that's a really good way to do it. Secondly, it also, why shouldn't a player go on court, just play a few rallies, take the prize money in the first round, and then leave again? Because when you're there anyway, you might as well just go on court, and play and grab the prize money.
Okay, so I want to talk about prize money now as well. So if a player shows up, but they are ill and they get the exemption to not play, I'm assuming they don't get prize money, right?
If you don't step on court, no, you don't.
Okay,
but if you step on court and play a few rallies, you will get the prize money.
Okay. So if I'm looking from BWF's perspective, so I guess the reason why they set up the top committed players is because obviously it's a product, right? Sport is a product, it's a business, and then so they need all their biggest stars, probably you guys, to play the roles of the athletes that are actually competing. So fans pay money, buy tickets, subscribe to TV channels, whatever, to come and watch you guys.
Of course.
Obviously, if you guys are not there, then they don't have a good product to sell.
Definitely.
So I think it's a cycle, but at the same time, you feel that it's very heavy-handed for them to. You have to come. If you don't come, then you're going to get fined. But then you have to pay the flights and everything. So you're lose either way.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if you...
Is there not a system where you maybe have 2 exemptions? For example, like say, it's like a challenge, right? You can lose 2 challenges per game.
Yeah.
Is there no system where I'm really, really ill, I genuinely cannot come, I have a doctor's letter just to prove that?
Yeah.
And you get like maybe 1 chance per season or maybe 2 chances per season.
Yeah, that would be great as well, better than the current situation.
Or you say, I skip this event, but I will make it up. Say, if I cannot make 1,000, I will have to make 2 extra 300s.
Yeah.
Would that be okay? What system?
That would be a solution for sure, or a better solution. But we have to also keep in mind, it's not like we don't want to play. But when you put a 750 like they did here, like 3-4 weeks after the Olympics, like they put in Japan, where I really wanted to play. I really wanted to play, but to put it 3-4 weeks after the Olympics, where players are totally hammered,
still consumed.
Yeah, and you will still,
media.
I went because I wanted to go to, be with Yonex and stuff like that. But still, I would get fined if I it didn't go. And I think there's just some mismatch in, and they don't really see it from the player side sometimes. And when you say that, they say, oh, we really want the best for the players, and that's great. I believe that. But again, to have these kind of regulations and then don't provide like a 1 night of hotel or flight tickets or accommodation for the players, I don't think that's the right way to do it for sure.
Okay. And then so this is something that needs to be raised and actually discussed further with the players and then come up with a solution, like a happy balance, right? Because at the moment you feel it's very one-sided.
Yes.
Okay.
And then also secondly of all, I think that sometimes, for some of the players who are on the top committed players list, it's not all the time that media actually have anything they want to do with the players.
Okay.
Like for me, I've always been coming, and there is something for me to do, but maybe down the line, or if I'm suddenly not that relevant anymore, whatever, just a scenario, then it's not always that there is for the 750s and the 1,000 any media work to do actually. So, but you're still on the top committed players list, so it's a little bit like
you'll have to show up.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was there at the Japan Open last year. I was very lucky to be able to go, and I was aware of a lot of players just flying in to avoid the fine.
Yeah.
They stepped on court. They had to pull out because they were in no shape to play.
Yeah.
The ones that go deep in at the Olympics, they're still recovering, I guess, physically and mentally. They were just drained, like you said. They were just drained.
Yes.
So I guess it's also not a good. It's not a good sight, I guess, if they step on court and they pull out after 3 rallies.
Exactly. But with the setup as it is now, it's
difficult.
Yeah,
it's difficult. So
Yeah, and I think we have a good friend here in the background who is holding up a sign here that singles is top 15 and doubles is top 10, and the fine is 5K.
wow. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
good. That's good to know. That's good to know. We want to get the facts out here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I want to go on to fine for the players. So if the player is tied to the federation, so for you, you will have to pay that out of your pocket. When you were with the federation, does the federation contribute?
No, like in the Danish Federation, it's like that. We can get our own sponsors and stuff like that. But Team Denmark and the Danish Federation, it can range everything from 4,000 USD per year to, yeah, I would say maybe 6, 7, 8K USD maximum per year for the Danish players from the federation.
Each for everything, so including
For everything. For an entire year, that's what you get of support.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, so
And then when for example, if you're part of, that's the actual support you get from the federation.
for flights, for accommodation.
Yeah, but then if you're part of there's a different setup. If you're part of for example, the training, there is some bonuses there, like the national team, the bonuses for the sponsors and everything.
Okay.
But it's not in the thousands upon thousands for sure.
Okay.
If you're part of the European team, if you're part of Uber Cup, then you will get some bonuses from the sponsors. If you get a medal, there is a bonus there. But it's definitely not enough to cover your entire cost for traveling around, that's for sure.
And that's from sponsors. Federation, you get the fixed amount.
Yes.
Okay. But I guess each federation has a different system, and then
Yeah.
obviously we will talk a lot more in a future episode about those, because we discussed like in the previous episode, like say a Korean An Se-young, she has restrictions that only can have sponsors from the national federation.
Yeah.
She cannot have personal sponsors. But like for example, like Team Malaysia, they can also go with only the national sponsors.
Yeah.
They can have personal sponsors, but then they can't have it, I think, on their shirts or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of different setups which are very complicated, and you probably know more than I. I just know that there's also a lot of federation who pays everything for the players, like the travels and everything, and the food and all that kind of thing. But that's not how it works in Denmark. Then you're responsible for that on your own, and then you get a little bit of support from the federation and from the sponsors of the federations, depending on how many tournaments of the team, how much are you a part of the national training, how many days, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so obviously I appreciate that a lot. So having been quite lucky enough to do 13 international tournaments last year, each week the cost is in the thousands of US dollars per week. Like, so if you think about it, just hotels, you're averaging $150 to $200 a night, I guess. And because you have to consider the logistics of it. You want the hotel to be close to your arena, like you have long days, and so if it's 45 minutes each way, you've lost an hour and a half already.
Yes.
And so, including food, including travel, including eating, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, it can be. It is quite expensive. Obviously the prize money has been,
it's going up.
It's going up. So even though you're only in the first or second round, you will still get a little bit of prize money to cover some of the cost. But there's also a lot of pressure on the players who don't have the big contracts and stuff like that. They're very reliant on the support from either federations or the sponsors, and that's also, many players, for example, the Danish league, that money they make from that is very important for them in order to make a living. And
them.
It's tough if you're not in the top.
Yeah. So obviously in Europe, there's a lot of commercial leagues. So you have the Danish league, I think Swiss league, Czech league, German league, French league, obviously a few other leagues as well. And I see obviously a lot of European players, they play in these tournaments.
Yeah, if you're in the federation, there is some kind of regulation in regards to how many leagues can you actually take part in. So you can't just play all 5, 6 or whatever there is.
Okay.
There's a fixed amount of matches you can play.
And I'm guessing you're in a very fortunate position, you don't have to play?
I don't have to play, and actually I was one of the first ones who said no to playing the Danish league back then, because I wanted to really focus on my training and stuff like that. And I remember back then there were a few people who didn't really like that, but for me it was necessary in order for me to improve and to really just focus on my training.
Okay. Prize money again from international tournaments.
Yes.
There's, I'm assuming, taxes. General. Every country has their own tax systems. I'm assuming you pay the tax first before you even get your portion.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, like now, I'm not tax dependent in Denmark, but usually, yeah, you pay in the country where you played the tournament.
Yep.
And then, for example, if you're Danish, if you're living in Denmark and you pay tax here in Denmark, then you can, deduct that tax from the Danish tax. So you end up, so you.
Do the federation also take a cut? Because obviously they've put so much in terms of investment.
No, in Denmark they don't take any cut. I know there has been, back in the day, from what I can understand, some where the federation they took a cut or whatever. But in Denmark it has never. They don't take any cut, which is good.
So you've earned it, yours, pay the necessary taxes, and then you're good. Okay,
exactly.
That's perfect. BDF tournaments at the moment. Do you think there's too many tournaments?
Yeah, I think there is a few too many tournaments, in my opinion, and I think the way the tournaments sometimes are planned, I think sometimes I struggle to understand that. For example, in the lead up to 1,000, that you have like 750 just before, and there are so many tournaments back to back with so many important tournaments within that pack, and that I don't really understand.
And as a top committed player, you need to play, I guess, all 4 1000s?
Yes.
And then the 750s, all of them?
Yes,
how many 750s are there?
I actually can't remember how many there is.
So we Denmark Open...
4. Yeah,
also 4, so that's 8?
Yeah, India, Denmark, French,
Japan.
And then
Japan.
But there's also China.
China.
Can we check? Maybe we can get...
I think
pull
6.
Pull that up, Romain.
Yeah. I think we have 6 750s, I think. I'm not sure, but I think... So 4 1000s, assuming there's 6 750s, so there's 10 already.
Yes.
And then you have to do... Two
500s.
But you can choose.
What?
Can you choose which 500s you do?
Yes, you can choose.
And then do you have to fix 300s? Do you have to do any 300s?
No, you don't have to do any...
okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah?
Yep. So we have
6 750s, and then...
10?
Yeah, and then 2 500s. 12, and then there is the team championships.
Which is I guess it's normally 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah, at least there's 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually for the best players.
Yep. But you want to do the team championships because it's a free ranking points, right?
Yeah, you get the average of your 10 results,
which is amazing.
Yeah, it's very good, and then you get an added. I think it's 1% or something of the players you beat. So, but it's pretty complicated. Maybe people they can look that up, but it's a good. It's good to play at least one team competition because you get the average of your points.
Okay.
So you have to play 14 tournaments
Minimum. Okay.
And now there's so many tournaments that you really have to do well in those 10. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to keep your ranking up there because there's a lot of players who play a lot. But again, it's more busy than it was back in the day.
Okay.
But,
what's your ideal number of tournaments per year? Would you want to do max of say 2 tournaments a month? And then some months you want 4 weeks in between just to train.
Actually, I wouldn't mind maybe playing quite a bit of tournaments, but then have 1-2 months, for like sort of an off season.
Like Formula 1.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're pretty busy doing 10 months of the year, 9-10 months of the year, and then have an off season. And then if players they want to go play one of these commercial leagues, for example.
We're going to touch on that.
Yeah, I don't see why that's a problem, to be honest.
Okay.
Because right now, and I also think we will see a lot of injuries.
We are seeing a lot of injuries.
We're already seeing a lot of injuries, especially here, because players, they don't have any time off. Obviously, you can say, you can just take time off. Yeah, but again, that's easy to say as a fan, that you can take time off because you want to play, you always think about your ranking. If there was like a set, off season, where you could either build your body back up for another busy year, or take some time off, take a longer vacation and stuff, which would be great for the longevity of the athletes. I think that would be great. So it's not actually, when we're sitting here talking about it, it's not the actual amount of the tournaments, it's the fact that we don't have any breaks. Okay. And I know that they tried it in the past where, and then people went to play the Indian League. And I don't see why that's a problem. If they want to do that and, don't take the rest and then maybe go earn some extra money and stuff like that, or get the experience, that's up to the individual player to decide. But I don't see why that would be a problem.
And then, okay, so we're now going to go into the privatized. For some reason, we're calling it tournaments at the moment because generally they're only 1 week or not necessarily a full weekend, but then I guess it's more than a few days, right? And then we're talking about leagues. So leagues are quite widely accepted. So you've got the Danish league, French league, Indian league, Chinese league, Malaysian league, Indonesian league. But then now we're having these tournaments. So, for example, like King Cup, and then also we have Badminton XL. So you've played Badminton XL. So can you roll it back a little bit? How were you first involved? Did you put your hand up to say as soon as you knew that the tournament was there, I want to play, or did they invite you, or you said?
They invited me to to come and have a talk, and like everything else, talk about how can we do with it, like negotiations are going on and stuff like that, and how is the format, when is it, how many days is it, how many matches is it. So there's a lot of talks going into it, because obviously as a player, you first of all have to see, does it fit into my calendar, and is it something which you think is exciting and great for the sport.
Yeah.
And now again, I'm taking up tennis, but if you look at tennis, they have the UTS, I think it's called, right? The UTS League.
Oh yes.
Yeah, exactly. Where they play on the court is a little bit of a smaller court, and they have some exhibition matches here and there, and some leagues. There's a league in Dubai as well, where I'm living, and yeah, I see it as a great thing for the sport to get some, both for the athletes and also for the sport itself, to have some variation. Sometimes it's a bit more relaxed playing these leagues, and it's fun for the fans to see a different side of the athletes where they're a little bit more relaxed. And then it's good also for to just try out something new and get some different inspiration as well.
So for Badminton XL, is there, so obviously in tennis, it's quite widely known that there's a player appearance fees. So even for tournaments, so if a big name player shows up, he or she is guaranteed a minimum amount for appearance fees. Is that relevant in Badminton XL?
Well, yeah, you get the price depending on what your ranking team ranking is, or how you do in the tournament. And the prize money in the Badminton XL was pretty good, significant for the player. So that's how it runs in.
But was everyone guaranteed an appearance fee as well?
It depends on, it's the prize money.
Only the prize money. So there's no appearance fee for Badminton XL. Okay, no. And then talk about the structure for Badminton XL. How long was the negotiations that they had to do with, because they had a wide range of top players playing. There were so many. Yeah, there were so many.
I was not a part of the actual organization of the Badminton XL. So we would have to do a podcast maybe in the future with one of the guys and very hardworking guys from Badminton XL. That would be exciting to hear.
I would like to hear his position as well.
Yeah, his or her position. For me, it took maybe a month or two. Talking with them about when would it be, how would it look, all that kind of thing. Where should we stay? And obviously, I knew the place very well. It was in Istora, and no better place to have a league than Indonesia, I guess.
Okay. From a player's perspective, Badminton XL was completely different to a standard tournament, to how you usually prepare, the vibe.
For me personally, you're more relaxed because obviously there's no ranking points and that kind of thing, but still everybody wanted to win because there was quite a bit of prize money on the line. Sorry, I said prize money before, I meant ranking points. Obviously, there's no ranking points, but still there was quite a bit of money to win if you did well. So, I had a pep talk with my team, Team Lightning, and I really wanted us to do well because you don't want to be there just to be a part of it. First of all, you want to win. Secondly of all, of course, as a player, you want to earn some money while you're there as well.
Is the prize money equally split for the whole team? Or because
the singles and the doubles, it was a little bit different.
Okay.
And then, so that's how it was pretty much set up. It took maybe a month or so, a month and a half for me before I had the actual contract. But they have been very busy because they had a lot of players.
Yes.
And also there was, initially some of the Indonesian players had to come and then they couldn't come. And then
why?
I'm not really sure how it was. Probably, when you talk badminton, then it probably have to do something with politics and the federations and stuff like that without knowing the details.
Okay. Will it happen again this year?
Yeah, I definitely hope so. I think it's, I think it's in the works right now, and I hope it will happen because once again, I think it's great for the players. I think it's great for the sport to have some variation, and I personally had a very fun time playing the Badminton XL. So I hope it's possible for me to go again and be a part of creating a great atmosphere and. Also giving the sport even more attention in a different format.
In a different way. So obviously, me not being based in Indonesia, I really struggle to follow the the tournament. So in terms of not being there, not being on site.
Yeah.
So obviously I was viewing through the lens of you guys. So a
Yes.
lot of players were posting everything. Were you guys required to post on social media and to promote the event as well? Was it part of the contract?
Yeah, you had to, do some different posts and stuff like that. That was a part of the contract. But
Did they provide you guys with additional support to produce?
yeah, it was.
Obviously, you had your team there.
Yeah, I
to
had
help you
Romain
produce.
there as well personally to do a lot of stuff on my on my own behalf as well. But yeah, you were required to do some kind of posting and stuff like that. But I still think that the players can do better who were taking part in the Badminton XL. I think there can be more engagement, and especially on the posting and the engagement with the fans. Kind of from looking from that lens, I think we can do even better as players. So if I go again for the Badminton XL, which I hope to do, I hope that we can, from a content kind of view, we can do even better, even though it was great. But yeah, there are something, of course, like everything else, the first edition or the first time.
There's a lot of learning.
There's a lot of learning.
Yep.
Do you have to do tweaks and you have to change different things? But that's also my impression that that's what they're going to do. And yeah, it's great.
So obviously not as a shameless plug, because obviously me and my team, we work in the media, badminton media at the moment. Would badminton tournaments, in your position, would you see badminton tournaments having media teams, dedicated media teams, producing content for the tournaments and for the players?
For me, I think it would be a great. It's one of those things again when I talk about investing in the sport. I think that for both the leagues, BWF, they should really look at this and then hire like content creators and media teams to do promotion, to maybe be at the disposal of the athletes if they want here and there. It would be
contribution.
Yeah, it would be a great contribution. And even as a top committed player, if I knew that, okay, you have to come to whatever 750, but you will have a chance of actually producing content for your own channels together with CK and team or Romain, for example.
I think many teams around.
Yeah, I think that would be great, and a great add-on for the sport. I know that BWF, they're doing more now on their YouTube and stuff like that with a little bit of a loose
pushing a lot of content.
Yeah, but they, it can definitely be better, and yeah, hopefully we'll see that going in the right direction as well.
There's obviously business. It is a business. It is a sport, and then businesses needs reinvesting that side of things. And obviously, I think players, if they reinvest a certain percentage of their prize money or income into promotion of their own brands, I think the sport would then also be.
For sure.
I think as fans, we just want to know you guys more. We just want to know you guys on a closer level.
Yes.
And girls, obviously, like all players are really important. And then obviously, disproportionately, the top players get more attention. Like you said, lower players, I guess, don't necessarily sometimes have too much media work because there's no requests. For you, you're super busy. But if they are a big name within the world already on social media, they could actually help with that process.
For sure.
Okay. Badminton XL, how much do you think it costs to run a tournament like this?
I have absolutely no idea, but it's not cheap. The good thing is that Badminton XL, obviously Spo TV is the one who are doing it right. So they, in regards to the production and everything, they
so
have
the TV crew all supplied by Spo TV.
Yeah, Spo TV is the owner. Yeah.
Okay. So for listeners and viewers who don't understand, so Spo TV is the parent company. It's a Korean TV channel, TV platform, but they're incredibly active in Southeast Asia for the badminton world. However, at the end of last year, Spo TV did not renew their rights and licensing. So where do you see that going? So obviously, if they've pulled the plug on showing badminton on their TVs and in all their territories, are they still involved in Badminton XL, or are they still running?
That's my, that from what I know, that's what's still happening.
Okay.
That they still want to be within the sport, and Badminton XL, the first edition, even though. There are some changes which need to be made. It's from my understanding, they still want to be within the sport, even though they didn't, go ahead and renew the license with the BWF and the World Tour. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
What are the formats of tournaments? So obviously, a BWF tournament is a straight knockout, as do all the tournaments. But commercial tournaments, like you said, can be a bit more loose, can be a bit more relaxed. Hence, there's a 3v3 timed tournaments as well. How can badminton improve as a sport? What do you think? Like at these tournaments with less stress?
Yeah. You mean from the commercial tournaments improve?
The show.
as a show.
It's a business, right?
Yeah, it's a business. I think that the audience have to be incorporated more into the into the event itself. When you look at the American sports, we have all the things, the kiss cam, the all kind of
Yeah.
things.
The foam finger.
Yeah, exactly. All those kind of things. I think it's very important. And then for me, even for the big tournaments, the media days for the athletes, where some of the VIP, spectators or whatever, they have a chance of meeting some of the athletes, interviews on court as well. All those kind of small things. Mic'd up during the intervals, so the fans and the viewers.
I'm a really big fan of Mic'd Up.
Yes.
We tried really hard to produce a lot of these content. It's
Yes.
really incredibly hard.
Yeah, it is. So all those kind of things, I think we can look to other sports for great inspiration there. That's I think it's healthy for the sport again to try out some new formats and stuff. There's been tried many things in the past, different scoring systems and all that kind of thing. And I don't see it as a bad thing.
So you've talked about scoring systems. So we'll sidetrack a little bit. Currently, BWF has announced that they're going to propose a 3x15 trial. What is your immediate reaction?
Yeah, I don't really. I know that for sure the matches are getting pretty long, and it can be, even though they split the first rounds up, so it's Tuesday and Wednesday on 2 days. Still, there's a very long days, and sometimes the matches are very long. If we had the shuttle clock, maybe we would see that the matches actually would become a little bit shorter. 3 to 15 from a commercial kind of view, I don't really see if it makes a big difference. Then it would be probably a bit better with 5 to 11 in my point of view, with more breaks and stuff.
Okay.
But for me as a player, it's only in 2027, I think it would be, if everything goes well and they vote it in. Yeah, I don't think it would make a huge difference in terms of commercial point of view. I don't know what you think, CK.
So my thoughts about 315, so personally for me, I think 321 is already short, in my opinion, because...
Already short?
I think it's short. So because
there will be long days.
Your games are long.
Yeah.
Men's singles is really intense. Unfortunately, if we look just by categories of just 5 disciplines, right? Some disciplines are longer than the others, unfortunately. But I think it's just because players are getting better, stronger physically, technically also better, so the rallies are getting drawn out. But only for certain events, like say women's doubles. But the reason I look at it, 321 is still quite short, is because you only need to win 42 points.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. 42 points. If you make mistakes, like we have mistakes, right? Cheat points, lift out.
Yeah.
For the elite game, 315, I think works. But for the casual amateur players, that's where my perspective comes in. I don't think it works. It's already so short in the normal game. We could have a different structure for elite games.
Yeah, you can see, again, now I talk about tennis again, but they play 5 sets in the Grand Slams. And then in the
amateurs do not play 5 sets.
No, exactly. They play 3 like they do in the 750, the 500s and 250s and stuff. So maybe that could be a solution where the recreational maybe played 3 to 21 still.
Yes.
And then when you get to a certain level, you play 3 or 15 or whatever.
That what I think would work, because but if it's a blanket rule, I think it would not work.
But from my what I'm nervous about is that we play in stadiums with so much drift that from that, if you look at that point there, I think having 5 sets, like 5 sets to 11, would actually make it more even, because you get to change sides more. And in 85% of the stadiums we play in, there's a very good side and there is a very bad side, or a good and a bad side. So if you only play 3 to 15 and you lose when you're standing on the bad side very quick, and then you get a little bit of a rough start in the one, even though you're on the best side,
you're gone.
Then you're gone, and you don't get over that point where the player actually gets a little bit comfortable, and then you start to have the very close competition. So I don't think 3 to 15 is the right way to go. I'd rather I would rather see 5 to 11.
So 5-11, you need 33
if
points.
If we have to change, for me personally, I don't think it does make a huge difference from the commercial kind of thing, the show. But if we have to change, I would rather have like 5 to 11.
5-11. So,
and this would even be 3 to 15 would even be good for me. Not right now, because I will be old in terms of badminton, men's singles.
Yes.
So for me, it would be a great.
Intensity. So the worry that I have is, because certain games, like now, if it's really one-sided, single figure score lines, you finish in like 25 minutes, right? 25, 30 minutes. current systems,
Yeah.
one-sided games. If you do 3:15, you'd be done in 20 minutes, and you have what intervals? That's 1 minute each. That's 2 minutes. You have change of sides. That's 4 minutes. Out of the 20, you get 15, I guess, overall.
Yeah, but if you still look at the tournaments now and you see the matches, like if you have a long day in the first rounds, you still have, days where you end up close to midnight. You have to also take into consideration, like the matches are longer now than it was in the past.
Yep.
Like if you look like generally on it and technically on it,
Yep.
and you have umpires, you have like the line judges who are sitting there the entire day as well.
They have long days.
Very long days. So and now that we're not at the point where you have after half a day you change out the entire crew and there comes new in, which will also be optimal. Then I think staying with this system, as you say, players are getting stronger and stronger. And if we keep this 3 to 21, we will probably have 2-hour-long matches at some point.
Soon. Yeah, I mean, like the last time we were in Copenhagen, World Championships final, Kunlavut versus Kodai.
Yeah, exactly.
Like an hour 40, right? So
yeah,
that's 100 minutes. Okay, so I would personally in tournaments I would love to have the shot clock for the elite game.
Yeah,
I think now you say that 3:15 with shot clock probably okay.
Yeah.
But for amateur level, I think keeping at 3:21 would be lovely, like our game, like amateur level.
I get your point. Yeah.
We make
I
more
think
mistakes.
it's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
It's okay.
I get that.
Better show. What do you think about tournaments having long? So like tennis tournaments, like Grand Slams is 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I tweeted the other day that I think
saw.
I said 10 days, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but even just a week or one extra day or something. My whole point is that I'm both looking as a player where we can get one rest day for the body and the quality of the matches. That would be great. Secondly of all, the entire crew around badminton will get a day's break actually to enjoy a little bit, and then you can have media days where you can hype up the matches. You could again, for the lucky winners of the spectators, maybe a meet and greet short with the favorite player and stuff like that. Obviously, you can't go overboard with it in terms of the rest for the players and stuff, but still, a media day, press conference or whatever, it would be way easier to actually hype the tournament itself, and maybe even be able to, in terms of merch and stuff like that, you would be able to sell more around the tournament as well, looking from the outside.
So I so happen to have had these conversations with some tournament stakeholders before, and then so from their perspective, currently the tournament structure is 5 days, right? So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Actually 6 days. You have the Monday, which is your main hall training day.
Yeah.
And then so essentially they're already booking sites for like 8 or 9 days. So the setup and teardown is incredibly fast. Like they finish in less than 6 to 8 hours normally, because if they go over 12 o'clock, they have to pay an extra day. And the cost of hiring those halls are so expensive. So actually, if it becomes 2 weeks, then the cost doubles. But they're worried about the cost.
Yes, but who are paying for the tournaments right now? That's the organizers, right?
Yeah. So organizers are really scared, I guess, in that sense. That
I understand that, and the organizers shouldn't pay for that. That should be BWF who pays for.
Part of the BWF structure.
Should be a part of a part of the money they own should go back into the organizing of the tournaments.
Okay.
If you look at the money that BWF have sitting right now, we are on the very, very good side of $50 million. So
I don't know too much about the finances.
No, I have guys who look into all the finances of that. So why not invest a few millions into making the craziest All England ever?
2 weeks. Well,
maybe
10
not
days, 10 days.
But make it 8-9 days or something like that. That means you have to book 10 days.
Plus training days, 10 days.
Plus 10 days. If it means that if it doesn't work out, if that means that BWF lost a little bit of money, so be it. We tried something, maybe it will pay out hugely. Maybe there will be, new sponsors will come in and say, this is the craziest event. Can we sponsor this?
But personally, I love that footballs, they do, and Formula One, they do open training sessions.
Yes.
Like fans can come in. You guys train as normal, but they make it a ticket day.
There's nothing.
It's a ticketed day.
Exactly, and that's a good point again. There's nothing which stands, in front of not, making that happen. We could easily have that.
Open
training.
I would love to be able to have fans come in and actually really appreciate how quick the sport is, how intense the
Yeah,
sport is, because on TV we cannot see that. We
yeah.
genuinely cannot feel that.
You could sell tickets for that, or you could
Yeah.
just make it free for the fans or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Like, bring kids in.
Yeah, bring schools, whatever.
Yep. So obviously, I know All England does like the first rounds. They generally get a lot of schools.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
for
which is
cheap.
good. Which is good.
But I would love to see longer tournaments, I guess, in that sense. But then try and monetize it in a better way. Okay, we're running out of time, so we're gonna move on. Kings Cup.
Yes.
Why are you not there?
I wasn't there for several reasons, like family reasons, and it just didn't really fit into my schedule this time. But I hope to be there in the future.
Okay, and it was obviously I had players, female players, obviously messaging to say, will there be a women's version next time round?
Yeah.
Because the Queen's Cup.
Yes.
Maybe,
Yeah.
so they wanted that to happen. But I knew that there's a second version in. The first one, I was lucky enough to be there. 6,500 people. They managed to fill the hall every single night.
Amazing.
But then normally tournaments, it's a long day. But this one is it's a 3.5-hour show. It's a 3.5-hour show.
That's great. Yeah.
And they were able to fill the hall. And generally, the worry as a fan is this a one and done?
Yeah.
It wasn't. So I hope it's not.
I hope it's not either.
It didn't look like a one and done.
No.
Again, probably like Badminton XL, there's a lot of learnings. There's a lot of people who are new to the system. But the organizing team, I think China and badminton events, they know how to run the show.
Yeah.
But also, I felt from the media side, on the stakeholder side of things, the Chinese consumers were just eager to consume badminton content.
Yeah.
So for me and our team, we find that we work very hard when we're based in Europe, Southeast Asia, because we have to compete with other sports.
Yeah.
Football, Formula One, NBA,
Yeah.
everything. Whereas in China, any kind of badminton content is just, they will just take
just
it
flies.
and go.
Yeah.
They was desperate for badminton content. So I think the commercial value is there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, for Kings Cup, they had the state government, I guess, supported the event.
It was in Shenzhen, right? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
So
they really invest a lot in sports.
Shenzhen Metro
Yeah.
was the key sponsor, I believe.
Yeah.
And then obviously Lin Dan being a brand himself,
Yeah,
he has
brings
a
a
lot
lot.
of, he brings a lot of his partners on board.
Yeah.
And he's able to actually retain that.
Yeah.
But do you see that event growing, like outside of more than 8 players per event?
Maybe the best format is 8 players for one event. You see, like it was very successful, and
World Tour Finals is 8 players.
yeah, exactly. So I don't see why they shouldn't have the same format. It was so successful. The prize money was great as well. So it just goes to show that there is money in the sport, and there is like a foundation, and that there's a reason for the sponsors and for the organizers to actually do events like this, which is only great for the sport. So yeah, I hope they will continue to do so, especially now when I hear it's a great event. So that'll be great.
Yeah, the presentation was great, and again, they also placed a lot of requirements on the players to be able to promote the event.
Good.
It was actually quite a key thing, and then obviously,
I just spilled water again, guys.
for those not watching,
Sorry.
Victor just spilled water.
Sorry, I'm only human. Yeah.
It's good to see actually. Like, I mean, I'm not looking forward to seeing you spill water every time, but it's funny enough.
Yeah.
But it was a good show, and I would love to see more tournaments like that. But I think conversely, if I think about it from BW's perspective, obviously badminton is their product, badminton is their sport.
Why is it their sport? That's the
For the
thing.
moment.
You don't say when you go in the morning, I'm going to play BWF. You say I'm going to play badminton.
Yep. We're gonna play
So
badminton.
yeah, that nobody owns the sport. The sport is the sport.
So obviously this then brings me on to like golf, right? PGA and Live.
Yes.
When it first started, it was chaos, right? Like
Yeah.
when Liv just came in, it was like, oh my God, PGA flipped out. Now they're married. Do you think this can happen in badminton?
I don't know. There are so many things going on right now, and I'm not. Once again, I think BWF are doing many great things. But I think instead of fighting each other all the time and looking at one league being bad and we can't let this happen because it will threaten this and this and this. I think, as you say, we should rather come together and then we should do obviously
Identify the challenges,
Yeah,
and
and
then list down the possible solutions.
Exactly.
Pick the best ones.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Because obviously you guys will have your perspective.
Yeah.
And then obviously, and again, an athlete's career is actually fairly short.
It is fairly short. It's not as short as in the NFL and stuff like that. Luckily.
Still non-contact sport.
Yes,
unless you hit
exactly.
your racket in the face.
But it's still short, and you have to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
And
But you guys bring a lot of attention, like because without star athletes like you, it's actually quite hard to actually build a sport, right?
Exactly.
Attention is disproportionate, but you guys have worked hard and earned that spot, that attention that you guys have, right?
We need the stars and we need the big names within the sport on
Okay.
both sides.
And then so if ever the opportunity comes for BWF to say, hey guys, come, we have a huge stakeholder meetings, because obviously currently the meetings are run through the federations, right?
Yes.
So obviously athlete commission is there, but there's not enough weight behind that
Definitely
thing.
not. Yeah.
Would you be happy to put your hand up and say, guys, okay, I will come in, and then I'm happy to sit down and actually discuss from my point of view?
If we actually had a say and we had a chance of actually making a change and make the different partners meet, I would love to be a part of it.
Okay, cool. And then last one, well, I want to talk about UBX, the Ultimate Badminton League. What is that? Your face is all over UBX.
Yeah, I'm a small part of the UBX, and we've been working over the several years to, because we talk about, the North American market, and actually there's more active players in North America than there is in entire Europe. So there's a lot of people playing in North America, and of course, a dream of mine and a dream of my team would be to, spread badminton around in the North American market as well, and make it more accessible there and make something fun there. Again, we want to start, small, and then just see if we can grow the sport and make a league there and make some noise. And up until now, it's been pretty hard because there is actually partners who want to invest in this project.
Okay.
But once again, it's very hard to get the players. Both because of the regulations there is within the sport, and then just
the tournaments.
Yeah, and then literally just the calendar being so packed.
Okay.
So, but we're still working. We're still, we also want to do a lot of projects when it comes to grassroots and stuff like that. So let's see what happens, and all these kind of commercial league and stuff like that. And see, once again, I see it as a great thing for the sport.
Okay.
It's not all of them which will be massively successful, but I hope that as many of them as possible can come in and challenge the current system a little bit in a good way.
Competition.
Work together with the current system. That would be optimal. Why not work together?
Yep.
I think that would be amazing. So we all want what's best for the sport, what's best for the players, and for the stakeholders, and that's what we should aim to do, to work together.
You talked about partners, right? So I wanna understand a little bit more about partners, because in badminton it looks like, if you look on the advertising, like for all tournaments, so every single tournament will have the BWF level on the World Tour, HSBC BWF World Tour, will have HSBC and obviously the World Tour partners all outside, and then you have the local sponsors. But it looks like sometimes I feel there's not too much difference between partner types. So for example, like HSBC is a bank, but then you're sponsored by HSBC, but some of the top players are also sponsored by banks. But it's quite rare to see outside of the top players that they have, for example, like financial institutions sponsoring. Obviously, in Denmark, there's a few financial firms sponsoring clubs and all.
Yes.
But outside of that, it's quite rare. So, what type of partners do you have on board, like UBX? What industry are they in?
Like you mean the partners within UBX? Right now, in terms of partners, we don't really have any signed part. We just have a lot of interest.
Okay.
So there's nothing, signed and done yet. Yeah.
Okay.
But where there has been quite a bit of interest is from people who have been within like other sports, like building other leagues and know the value of sport. So they want to come on board and actually build something here within sport, because nowadays you also see actors and stuff like that buying football teams. And stuff. So business, sport is a growing business, still, and there's great value if you do it right. So that's mainly where the talks has been with people who has invested in other sports as well. So that's where we see the main interest right now. In terms of the actual brands who want to put the banners and stuff like that. First of all, you have to secure the funds to actually make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously at the start of the year, BWF, they had Etihad coming in.
It's great.
Obviously at the Malaysia Open, we saw that Etihad and stuff like that. But then, like say on Formula One, you have like Qatar Airways everywhere, right? And previously they had Rolex, but now they have LVMH coming, which is with the portfolio of brands of luxury goods. Jesus Christ, right?
A lot.
Hopefully, badminton, we can get to that stage where we can have lifestyle, consumer goods, financial institutions, a really wide range of a market to be able to give them that process. And I think a different types of shows will have different applications, different target audience.
Totally. But that also means that the players have to get the information needed in order to go sell themselves. Because when I go to a sponsor and I say, hey, there's this and this and this, I have to go through third parties and I have to go different ways in order to actually figure out how many eyeballs is there actually on me when I play this and this and this. And you can make estimates and try to find the viewership numbers. But BWF, they don't provide the players with the actual viewership of the different, tournaments. So it's very, very hard to go out and sell yourself as a player.
No data, no numbers. Then
no data, no numbers for the players. So it's very, very hard for them.
Yep.
And that's also something which I've been trying to, many times ask about, but, still I received nothing from BWF.
Also, at the same time, badminton is quite a male-dominated sport.
Yes.
So obviously, I'm online on my YouTube channel and also on several other social media platforms. My numbers all show significant male following over female following.
Yes.
And obviously, working on the Yonex All England last year, my proudest number, I've said it to a lot of people, was our content reach. It was 60-40. I've never seen 60-40 for the first time ever. 60 male, 40 female. Yeah. Never ever. The only other place that I've heard 60-40 was actually speaking to Badminton Denmark.
Oh, really?
And they said that their numbers are 60-40. Since obviously a lot of girls play badminton in Denmark, but you've fostered that culture over decades.
Yeah.
And so, but globally, it's not 60-40. Globally, no. At best, I think it's 80-20.
Yeah.
So we would, and if you suddenly get 50-50, you've gained 100% of the new audience.
Yeah.
But
that would be
very hard as a sport to do that.
Absolutely amazing. But I think across the sport, the entire sporting world and stuff like that, I think unfortunately it is pretty male dominant when you look at just
most sports.
Most sports, right? But things are changing and it's great. It would be amazing in a world where we had a lot, where a more healthier split in that regard. So yeah, let's do what we can.
Yeah, and I think
hopefully I can add 2 goals in terms of our 2 daughters.
And they
probably won't make it to 50-50, but we can do our best.
+2. We take everyone we can.
Take everything we can.
We take
but I think 2 is the only. We're not planning on more kids, so I think it's the only amount I can provide.
We will take every single little badminton player girl we can. We will actually, we look forward to seeing them play.
Let's see.
Okay, right. I think we have to cut it for this episode. Make sure you follow us on all the platforms that we push all our content to. Please always comment and let us know what topics you want us to discuss, what insight you want from Viktor, what insight you want from me as well. Let us know if you like the content. Let us know if you don't like the content. We want feedback here. So yeah.
Definitely. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you.
Send it. Let's go. We'll see you in the next one.
See you. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Romain, are you recording over there? Please double check, triple check.
Is there like a special routine? So yesterday you had the cap back, today forward.
No.
Later on episode, side 3?
Yes, exactly. Like real skater style.
We're getting nervous now, huh?
We have a new spectator now. And, the curtains are down. And
there's a gallery going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And around the arena, just the track. Something just fell from someone outside.
We're okay. No mistake.
We're okay.
We're safe. Can we check? Maybe we can get.
I think
pull that up, Romain. Maybe get Romain to check.
Tap on one of our faces.
3 to 15 would even be good for me. Not right now because I will be old in terms of badminton, men's singles.
Key thing, and then obviously.
I just spilled water again, guys.
For those not watching,
sorry.
Victor just spilled water.
Sorry, I'm only human.
It's good to see actually. Like, I mean, I'm not looking forward to seeing you spill water every time, but it's funny enough.
Yeah. We're not planning on more kids, so I think it's the only amount I can provide.
Cut that.
Great.
It's good, huh?
Yeah, very good.
It's okay. Yeah.